We're dealing with a quasi-legal status here with our Haitian population.
They're here legally, and not even quasi-legally, they're here legally.
They're not troublemakers, they're just trying to thrive.
Springfield, Ohio is at the center of the immigration debate, forced into the spotlight after this.
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Now, with President Trump in office, his deportation efforts are ramping up.
President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration is expanding.
Migrants lined up, handcuffed, and led onto a military aircraft.
I also canceled temporary protected status for migrants from Haiti.
This puts Springfield's migrants, many of whom have this status, known as TPS, at risk for deportation. So we asked Springfield residents what that would mean for their city.
I know that a lot of you have said that you haven't seen maybe a lot of ICE activity yet in Springfield, but how do you think that that would impact the community if it were to seriously happen?
Well, we're definitely going to take an economic hit with the loss of any number that should get deported. There's no doubt about that.
Do you think it's worth it, Laura?
I am a law and order person, and if the federal government is telling the city of Springfield they have to engage in the deportations, then I would expect that the city would cooperate with the federal government.
Camille, you're a business owner. How would that impact you and fellow business owners?
There are so many benefits to having diversity and Haitian immigrants here in our community. All of the businesses that they've opened up then have a trickle-down effect because each business has a business that it works with. There's been so much investment from a social service perspective, from those of us that have made personal self-investments to this population influx. So essentially to take away that, those investments that have been made are kind of for naught.
Officials say immigration helped push the city's population up roughly 25% since 2020. Many residents said the influx helped turn around the city's falling labor force.
Chris, I know you have several Haitian employees. How are they feeling?
When I say I'm worried about losing some of my employees, I have several that are here under TPS. They have an employment authorization document. They're here legally, and not even quasi-legally. They're here legally. But I'm going to lose them potentially unless they can find another way to stay here in August. And so our community needs a few more doctors because we're in a shortage area. So we're going to lose, I think, more than we realize now, and it'll probably take several years to realize that.
TPS offers deportation protection to people from countries with dangerous conditions, like the ongoing gang violence in Haiti. It allows migrants to apply for work permits while here, and work is part of what brought Haitians to Springfield.
Professionals, doctors, teachers, police officers, people with great skills had to leave the country. Children who were just about to finish high school, those of them who are at university levels, they're all here at Springfield. But they have been reduced to work at a level that they never used to work before and try to adjust themselves. You can imagine being like a judge in your country, finding yourself working at Amazon in a factory or whatever.
But the population increase also came with challenges: language and cultural barriers, strains on schools and hospitals, and a tighter housing market.
Can you speak a little bit to some of the growing pains that you guys went through with this, sudden influx of people?
So we were experiencing challenges with things like translation, understanding one another. We would have challenges with people in a waiting room who felt that, maybe they were a traditional citizen who felt like something was being taken away from them because somebody else was being served.
Would some level of deportation actually help with those issues?
I don't know the best answer for that. Probably wouldn't affect me directly, but I'm sure that it would affect City of Springfield.
The way that we can stabilize our tax base is, by increasing the population, and county government, the way that we raise funds for our general fund to support our infrastructure is through sales tax income. Sales tax is paid by people who live here and people who visit here, and particularly those who shop locally. If that was diminished significantly by deportation, it would create a reduction in the receipts that we're able to draw on.
Laura, what do you think?
Well, then maybe we should lower the sales tax in Clark County, especially if we lose people, because if you lower the sales tax, then more people, of a fewer amount of people, will be spending more because they can buy more in the county.
And then we'll have to cut services.
Well, no. Have you ever done that study to see if you lowered the sales tax, then more people would be buying more stuff in the county, so the government would have more money. It's called Reaganomics.
Laura, I want to go back to the question of, do you think some measure of deportation would alleviate some of these problems that you've been identifying in Springfield?
If it's targeting and taking people who are violent, like the TDA, Venezuelan gangs, which I know we don't have here, but if those are the people who are deported, then yes, we should be deporting. As soon as somebody gets pulled over or arrested and they're sitting in that jail right over there, and it's found out that they are an illegal or they do not have proper status, then they should be deported with a trial first.
Just in regards to Laura's comments, things like that are very difficult to hear. And I know we talk a lot along party lines, and a lot of this has been politicized, but at some point we must remove ourselves from our political affiliation and operate in our humanity and not in all of the semantics that are surrounding this issue.
TPS was previously extended through February 2026, but Trump moved the end date up to August 2025, at which point up to 500,000 Haitians across the U.S. that are eligible for TPS, including those in Springfield, would be subject to deportation.
So for the TPS people, they know that it's a more a fragile status. They are scared because they know that if they are going there, the same thing that pushed them away to migrate is still there. Even the American embassy in Haiti cannot operate properly because of the gangs of violence. And they know that going back is like a suicidal decision going back there now.
TPS recipients have few paths to a more permanent legal status. The main one is to apply for asylum, which would make them a refugee. But that process can take more than 3 years. And full citizenship is also difficult. Immigrants aren't eligible with TPS alone.
As far as the TPS, I think we're all being educated on immigration and learning new things, but I just was wondering how many Haitians that have been here for quite a while have looked at going through the process of citizenship. I just was curious on that part.
I'm not sure that there is like a path to citizenship for people having TPS, and it's a general thing in the US. It's very difficult for you just to get a green card or citizenship. Some other countries normally give you a period of time to live in the country. If you are doing good, they can normally give you a permanent resident, but it's not the case for the US.
Chris, I know that you have tried to work with your employees to see if there's some kind of more permanent legal status they can apply for. What's that been like?
Difficult. In a single word, difficult. Vilas is right. It is an expensive, time-consuming process. It is very complex, requires not just a lawyer, but an immigration lawyer, and even subdivided down immigration lawyer who specializes in employment. And so we've made connections with our employees to say, hey, we've heard that people have had some success talking with these folks, trying our best to connect them. But it is, in a word, it's extremely difficult.
These issues were also on voters' minds in November, when Republicans across the country listed immigration as a key reason they supported Trump.
Immigration did play a role in my vote, but it wasn't necessarily immigration. It was, I was looking at the border situation, which that was a big concern. People were coming across not vetted. There does need to be an easier way to become a citizen.
Have you connected what's been going on at the border with what happened in your town, or does it feel like a different issue to you?
Well, I think it's a totally different issue because the Haitians that came here are TPS, and that's a quasi-legal status. They did not come here through the open door policy of the Biden-Harris administration. You're comparing apples with oranges, okay? There was a huge influx coming across the border of hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of people that are not TPS. Okay, they're just plain illegal.
I don't know that people thought that critically about it, and that was certainly how it was positioned, that the situation that we were experiencing here was somehow ruining our community, and that was a result of what was happening at the border. That wasn't at all the truth, but that's how it was positioned as a political talking point, and our community ended up in the middle of that, which was very disappointing to me.
In closing, do you feel like you and your community are better off, worse off than you were before anyone knew your name and before this election?
I think that there's a lot of dialogue going on right now, which is healthy, and I think we're going to be just fine. I think we're on the upswing. Economically, I'd like to see the city do better for sure. We definitely need to do economically better to benefit everybody, immigrants included.
I will always hold on to hope because that's the only driving force for change. But I'm also very aware of the impending uncertainty due to what's happening at a federal level and the trickle down to the local level. So I'll remain optimistic, but I'm also very aware of the implications.
I can tell you that from my experience that you've got the best Haitians here. They're not troublemakers. They're just trying to thrive, work, and send their kids to school.